sir. Thank you for the wonderful, generous introductions. Thank you so much. In fact, we start thanking you. There, thank you are very less words. There's so much to. There's so much of happiness coming to MiDNA. Well, thank you, sir, for everything, and also for sharing the screen. It was just providence that I just got that video, and you decided to share that. Um, so I would start my presentation calling my journey as an extraordinary journey. I'll tell you why I call it an extraordinary journey. But before that, instead of talking at length about myself, I have also decided to add some value to the new entrants to our family by telling them the right methods of counseling. Because y'all are going through the genetic brain profiling, what it is, but counseling comes only with repeated, with experience. So I thought I'll add a little bit of value by sharing my experiences in counseling. Why do I call my journey an extraordinary journey? Because one thing, it's a long one. And another thing is, it's full of adventure. I've had so many stints in so many different places and so many different kinds of situations I have faced in life that I call my entire journey an adventure. And instead of going from, right from the beginning till the end, I decided to break it down under different headings and to just give you a small glimpse into the various aspects of my life. So let me begin from my childhood. My childhood itself was spent in 3 different cities. Though my parents were in one place called, my father was an engineer in Bhilai Steel Plant, I was for some time with my paternal grandparents and then maternal grandparents and then my parents. So because of that, it was in 3 different cities, since I was the first grandchild for both my grandparents. Then I studied in 6 different schools. Like I said earlier, my schooling started in my grandparents' house in Calcutta. Then my parents decided to get me back to Bhilai, but in Bhilai it was Hindi medium schools. I failed in my 2nd standard and I refused to study there. So again, I went back to my grandparents' house in Calcutta. And then I had to come back to Chennai after my grandfather's death, and my mother set up an establishment in Chennai for our education, because by then my sister and brother were also in school and it was still Hindi medium in Bhilai. And then once English medium Kendra Vidyalayas got established in Bhilai, then we were all in, I was in a hostel and I continued my college. I did my BCom in Nagpur. And then, of course, I did BCom because my mother wanted me to do chartered accountancy. But I had other plans. And after BCom, I told them I want to get married to the guy I had met. And well, there was a lot of opposition. I'll tell you later about that. And I got married and I married an Air Force pilot and entered the Indian Air Force. After some time, I started feeling that I'm just simply sitting around not doing anything other than enjoying my life. So I started teaching in schools. I got interested in teaching, and then I did my B.Ed through Annamalai University. At that time, we were posted in Assam. And I came all the way to Chidambaram to write my exam. And life carried on, and I ended up living in 15 places in 10 states in India as an Indian Air Force spouse. That's the number of postings we've had, and all the places we stayed were all in the forward areas. Either it was Pakistan border in the western sector, or Bangladesh border in the eastern sector, or Bhutan border in the northern, northeast, northwest Bengal. So since it was all border areas, we were getting transferred so often that my children's education was getting affected because of that. And if you can see the slide, I've told you that I did my MA in Pune University and my MPhil in Hyderabad, and now I'm doing MSc in Annamalai University. And I will continue with my life story. In the meantime, in college, I was more interested in sports than in studies. Like I did, I was in the netball team in school, in the basketball team in college, hockey team, volleyball team. In fact, I was the captain of the university girls basketball team in 72-73, Nagpur University. So I was always more interested in sports than in studies. Studies was okay, I didn't do badly, but my main focus was achieving more and more in sports. I'll come back to this later. I'll connect it to my genetic brain profiling. Now, regarding my work and my career, as I told you, I started teaching in the FO schools and the Kendra Vidyalayas. There were some Kendra Vidyalayas in some forward areas, I mean the border areas. So wherever there were KVs, I would teach there. Wherever there were FO schools, I would teach there. And mind you, all these schools welcomed officers' wives anytime to teach because they were always lack of teachers there. And because of that, my children, I almost had to do homeschooling for them because there would be no teachers who would report for work, being forward area, or even if the teachers came, somehow their attitude was always like a more gossipy and more, housewife kind of attitude. So that's how I kept continuously teaching all my Air Force life. And then a point came where my elder daughter had seen 13 schools in her 11th standard, and my younger daughter had seen 8 schools in her 8th standard. So that's when I told my husband that I think high time I sacrifice something for our children's sake, and I stayed alone in Chennai while he continued in the Air Force. But he decided to give up his job, Air Force job, and stay with family in Chennai. So we were in Chennai, and as soon as I came to Chennai, when I went to a school called Vidya Mandir in Mylapore to get admission for my daughters, the principal asked me, what were you doing? I said, I was a teacher in Delhi. So, oh, we need English teachers. Why don't you join us? At least come for the interview. It's there next week. And I said, no, actually, I've just come from Delhi and I need to settle down. We need to look for a house. I'm staying in my in-laws' house and our luggage hasn't arrived. She said, think about it. I want you to apply. I came home and told my husband that. Now my husband, I'm giving you this background because my husband is the one who's been extremely supportive of my entire education after marriage and my career. So he said, so what if we don't have a house? So what if we don't have maids and our luggage hasn't arrived? Nothing can wait for anybody. You go for the interview and maybe you'll not get it also. So I went for the interview, and out of 20 candidates, well, I had to get the job. I was very unhappy about getting the job, but once I went into Vidya Mandir, I was very happy with the atmosphere of teachers and the people. And I started growing as an individual. I started growing after coming to that school. And so for 11 years, I was a higher secondary teacher in Vidya Mandir. And then, of course, this school had another branch. And then I went there as head of the English department. And in this 11 years of our life in Chennai was a very, very different phase of life for us. It was coming out of Air Force life into civilian life. It was handling 2 teenage daughters. It was getting used to living with relatives in a very conservative background. And we came from a non-conservative background. And it was too many things happening at the same time with my house full of relatives all the time. So it was a very traumatic phase for all of us at home. And then later I'll connect this phase to my GBP. And like Sir had said, there is some aspects of GBP when I do counseling, I remember my own life and I'm able to counsel better. So these 11 years were really, really like one can write history books on it. It was like that. And then, my children finished their high school, they went into college, they finished their degree, they went into post-graduation. My elder daughter went to NID to do her designing course, and my younger daughter joined SP Jain MBA college in Bombay. So that's the time we got, my husband took up a job in Malaysia in the flying school, and I went to Malaysia with him. In the meantime, my elder daughter also got married. Now in Malaysia, we had just reached there. Within a week, one neighbor came and asked me, what do you do? I said, I teach English. I was an English teacher. She said, oh, there's a Chinese college. They require English teacher very desperately. Lecturer, would you like to join? Now, in the meantime, in Chennai, I had done my MPhil also. MPhil in the teaching of English from the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, Hyderabad. So that's how I got into college lectureship. And I got into a Chinese college. For 4 years, I was teaching English there. And from there, one of the universities, Multimedia University in Malaya.
I don't know which one is the best.
Okay. So Multimedia University called me and gave me a job there in their university. Things were going fine when one of my husband's French friends invited him to Thailand to start a flying school there. And so we moved to Thailand. And first my husband said, no, we will not come because my wife is very, very happy in the job she's in. But he said, I'll get your wife a job, so you must come. So that's how he contacted the Thai government. And we were in northeastern sector in Thailand, near Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, a place called Nakhon Phanom. And the president of the university called me and he said, I give you a job. I want you to start a language institute here. So it was a question of the universal divine force, as well as my husband and friends, all sort of making sure that I continue working. So anyway, that was a very nice stint again in Thailand, where nobody knew English. Even if I taught them wrong English, they would know they would know the difference. And we were there only for 2 years. It was a very, very peaceful place there. But what happened was my mother-in-law needed taking care of, and I was asked to take care of her. And we were in such a godforsaken place in Thailand where there was no TV. And how do I keep my mother-in-law occupied? So we came back to Malaysia, to a place where, and Malaysia is full of Tamilians. So we got relocated ourselves. I brought my mother-in-law. She was on wheelchair. So at that time, I didn't work. And we were in Malaysia till my daughter required my help in Chennai. So then I brought my mother-in-law and I came to Chennai to take care of my daughter for her second delivery. And within a year, my husband left his job and came back. He said, I don't want to stay alone there. And so that's how our foreign stint came to an end. And we were in Chennai for 2 years. But I believe whatever happens, happens for the best, because within 2 years of coming back to India, one fine day, my husband got up with a massive heart attack. And then suddenly he was no more. So my entire world came crashing down after that. Of course, my younger daughter was with me, her children were there, her husband was there, but still, of course, I mean, I don't have to describe how, what a empty feeling it gives. Then my younger daughter said, how long are you going to sit at home like this? Why don't you do something? Go teach in the corporate office with all your years of experience. So I did corporate training for 6 months, how to teach in corporates and all that. And then for 3 years, I was a corporate trainer. But somehow corporate training was an extension of college teaching or adult learning. I did a lot of adult teaching in my stint in Malaysia and Thailand, because there they really required English teachers. And so they would come and beg, take classes for us. So every evening and night classes I used to take for them. So corporate training was just an extension of that. And it was not very, I would say it has a lot of money in it, but not a very satisfying place to be in, at least for me, because I had reached a stage in life where I wanted to get over the empty feeling that I had inside, and where I said, okay, I've lived my life. I lived a very, very eventful, happy 40 years of married life. I said, now let me do something for society. When my thoughts were going through such kind of emotions I was going through, that's when my eldest grandchild, who was in class 10, had to take now +2 and his subjects. Sort of we were discussing, and this at that time, one of the Deepa Satish, she was a corporate trainer along with me, and she had been exposed to genetic brain profiling, and she had taken it up. So she said, why don't you try? I'll be able to tell you what your child can do. So I went to her with my grandson, and seeing his profile, she interpreted his profile and all that. I was so impressed by genetic brain profiling. I said, this is a khazana. This is a treasure. We can help people with this. I was so impressed by it that I decided to come into genetic brain profiling. Of course, my grandson did his +2 and did pretty well. And now he's in Gindi Engineering College. Now, genetic brain profiling, that's how I came to MiDNA. This is my life in short. And alongside, I've just posted some pictures for you all to see. And this is as a trainer. And of course, along with doing corporate training, I was also holding small talks and lectures here and there, and doing some college training also. So it was a very busy life at that time. And in the meantime, let me also tell you that both of us, my husband and me, were very fond of traveling. So the highlight of my life has also been that I have traveled to 17 countries in 3 continents so far. And I've learned a lot from my travels, and each place there was something to take back from each place that I have traveled. That's why I call my life very rich, very extraordinary. I may not be rich in money, but I'm very rich in experience. And I tell you, my friends, traveling is such a beautiful thing to do. When you visit countries, when you see people, when you see how they live, it broadens your outlook totally in life. So I'll just take a small peek into the countries I visited. There's loads and loads to say about these countries, but I mean, now this is, for example, this what I'm showing you on the left side is an underground in the Red Indians territory in USA. So, and this is Thailand, where every New Year, people light lamps like this and wish something and send it to the universe. Every New Year they do that. That was something fantastic for us to see. And see, the Vietnam has a floating market. Of course, that is Petronas Twin Towers in Malaysia. And we went to Egypt. I've been to Leh, Ladakh, and Bhutan. Now, Bhutan, again, there's a very interesting incident, Now, this is at a very high mountain, very steep mountain. And I had climbed about, now Bhutan trip I made after my husband's death. Both my daughters, they said, you're not going to sit at home and feel sorry for yourself like this. Just go. You love traveling, go out and travel. And I had joined a yoga class, and those people were going on a trip to Bhutan. So I joined them. They didn't have any background about me. They didn't know much about me. So we climbed for about 6 hours, and then we came to a midpoint, and another 6 hour climb was there when somebody from another party, a young guy, a 40-year-old guy, had a heart attack and died then and there. I mean, like when we were climbing. So talk about, health and death and all happened. And I said, yeah, even for me, climbing is a little tough because I have some problem in my heart and things like that. And that's it. After that, these people wouldn't let me climb. They said, you're going to sit here. You don't have to come to the to that temple. This is the cave temple in Bhutan. So that is how I missed seeing this wonderful temple. Sorry. Excuse me. So this is to give you a short why I call my life extraordinary, why I said I had a wonderful life. I just gave you a small peek into it. There's no point in going detail into my life. I will touch upon my genetic brain profiling, and I will tell you which parts of it. But what I want to do more importantly is to share my experiences in counseling people, so that those of you who have joined this today, I mean, MiDNA, who have joined the MiDNA family and who are new to counseling, you have some solid takeaway today after my session. So let me come to the counseling part of it. See, these are the counseling skills one needs. Excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. Now, if you notice, my counseling skills, from where do they come? Like Sir said, he already gave you a peek into my profile. Now, if you can see, myself is the highest. Now, when your self is so high, you are automatically trying to improve yourself all the time, especially if your nurturing has been good. Now, I had very loving grandparents. Both one grandfather of mine was a high court judge in Chennai. The other grandfather was a businessman in Calcutta. So both my grandparents showered a lot of affection and love. And because of that, my sense of self was always very comfortable. And I wanted to go beyond myself. So this, with added to people skill and language skill, teaching became a natural profession for me. But teaching did not satisfy me as much as counseling does. Because counseling helps me to go beyond myself. Now, if you notice my profile, my frontal is higher than my prefrontal. And both my brain processings are moderate. So naturally, I should have some amount of fear or hesitation in me. But once again, thanks to the nurturing, before marriage and even after marriage, I had such a wonderful husband that fear is something that I didn't, it never bothered me much. Let me give you a small example. When I told my family that I want to marry a man who's a pilot in the Air Force, my parents, of course, were not happy. And they said, what education does he have? Because my family believed in either only educated people are only those who are chartered accountants or doctors or engineers or lawyers. So what education does he have? He's done just NDA, National Defense Academy. That's not education. So, and how much can he earn as a pilot? But I was very adamant about it. And one day before my wedding, my aunts came to me and they said, it seems you're very adamant about marrying. What will happen to you? And my marriage was in 1974, and 71, 72 was the Bangladesh operations. And my husband was part of it. So suppose another war breaks out and he's a pilot. What will happen to you if he doesn't come back? One day before my wedding, my aunts talked to me like that. And I said, if that is my fate, so be it. But nobody is going to stop me from marrying. Probably my cognitive nature, the cognitive part of my nature made me so strong in my resolve. And I proved them all wrong. I proved them wrong by leading a very happy life with my husband. And same when it came to my daughter's marriage, we were in Chennai in the midst of a very conservative family. And my daughter was interested in marrying somebody out of our community. And there was a lot of opposition from the rest of the relatives, but my husband said, it is her life. She will choose whom she wants to marry. So, sorry about this. So you see, the fear factor was not there for me. And in many aspects also. I've gone on a lot of adventure trips, whitewater rafting, microlight flights. All this, if the fear had been there, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So when we counsel people, we must, I'll tell you later, I'll come back to this. Now, for now, you check my parietal. See, my parietal is only 9.3 and 9.4. Whereas I was always a wonderful player and I was a very successful player. I was selected as a university captain. Now, this again is a mystery for me. I suppose Sir has to solve this mystery. When I read my profile, when I got my profiling done, I said, how is it possible? Parietal high should be for people who are good in games or good in dance or something like that. I was a dancer also. But my parietal is not so high. So later, I suppose I'll have to clarify this with Sir. So let's come to the nurturing part. Like I was telling you, nurturing is very, very important part of all our profile is only 50% and the other 50% is nurturing. Now, this is my grandson's profile. If you can see his profile, this was done 3 years back. That's why it's in the old format still. His prefrontal is, and his frontal. See where the bars are. So his nurturing has been so good. I mean, he's just had natural parents who are really good to him, that this child was selected to be the chief guest when he was a school student for his school. He was so popular. For Republic Day parade, he hoisted the national flag in his school. This child was so popular because he was popular with the teachers, with the principal, with the students, and good in studies. He was maintaining the school website. Even now, he got into Guindy Engineering College in his own merit, and any doubt I have to do with computers, I just have to call my grandson at any time of the day or night and he's ready to help me. So nurturing is very, very important. So when we do counseling, we have to take that into consideration, how important nurturing is. Let me tell you one more aspect of counseling. How do you get to know what nurturing is? You must have background information. Okay, how do you get background information from people? You can't keep asking them questions. So what I did was, now this Adil boy, 10-year-old Adil, he came to me. He was a very quiet boy. His uncle and grandmother brought him to me. I asked him, what's the problem? He's very quiet. He doesn't talk to anybody. He just eats his food. He goes to his room. He sits and he's very quiet. Just a 10-year-old boy. Then when I saw his report, I said, no, his report is very normal. Just look at his report. Very normal report. His self is also not very low. So why should this boy be quiet? Then I asked him, did he have any trauma? The uncle said, yes. His mother married another guy and went away, and father became a drunkard. So my mother brought him to my house. And last 2 years, he's staying with me. So now this background information helped me to look at his sensory input, his kinesthetic, his auditory, and his visual, all high. So there's no reason why this child should not do well in studies, why this child should be such a recluse. Now, once they gave me the background, now accordingly, I could advise the child, I could tell them how to help the child. And the child is doing very well now. So background information, we have to dig out of them when we counsel. And then also find out if they want any answer for any specific thing. Like, for example, this girl, Akshara, if you see her profile, doesn't everything look very normal? Everything is very normal. But I happen to know this child. She is my good friend's daughter. She is not a normal child. So after seeing her report, I asked the mother, when did her brain get affected? She said when she was 40 days old. Something happened to her brain. I mean, we don't know what happened. She had fits. And after that, now this child cannot see. She's almost blind. She can see only distant objects. She can't see close objects. And then this child she can talk well. She loves talking. And she's a very confident child because, again, nurturing has been very good. But she's stunted in her growth and she can't see. So two very big disadvantages. Then I called up sir and asked him. I said, this is the profile. What advice can I give? And sir gave me a good idea that she can do something good in cooking because her parietal is good. And since her frontal is also very good. So, and her memory is also good. So probably she can become a good storyteller or something. So this is what I conveyed. And the mother was so happy to hear that as it is, she was taking excellent care of her child and made her a very confident girl. Now she wanted to take her one step further and see, she's already 19 years old. How can she better her life? And so she was so happy when I gave her these suggestions. She said, now I know in which direction to take my child. So specific, when I asked her, what do you want to know about your child? She told me, I want to know in which direction I can take her. What is her natural talent which I can nurture? So asking specific questions help. Then one more very important skill which all of us must develop as counselors. For good communication, for good relationship, listening skills are very important, but more so if you're a counselor. Now let me take this example of this girl called Mekhala. Look at her C2X and X2 in her frontal. She is 15-year-old teenager. So you can imagine the amount of trauma the girl, the parents, everybody would be having. Now the parents are doctors. So they were educated parents, so they did not, they didn't have fights over the daughter, but they were worried. Girl is she likes to keep to herself, and why is it that doesn't, uh, she doesn't get along with people or friends? The girl said, no, I get along with friends very well. I have lots of friends. Entire class is my friend. Then I asked her, I said, do you do projects together with your friends? She said, yes, of course. I do all my projects with my friends only. And I have many friends. I said, do you volunteer to do the projects with them? She said, no, I never volunteer. When they call me, I go. And we do projects together. So, and then I let her talk for some time. And then once again, the mother said that somehow she's not very free with her friends and all that. So I caught on to this particular sentence of hers. I said, 15-year-olds normally love to be with friends. But you tell me that whenever your friends call you only and invite you, then you go. Otherwise, you don't go. So in other words, you're going only because they have invited you. Have you ever taken the trouble of becoming friendly with anybody? She saw my point and she said, yes, what you're saying is true. Now, once I could break the barrier with her, then counseling her became very easy. Then I could make her understand that she needs to improve her people skill. Then I made the parents understand how to improve her people skill. So they were all so happy that, of course, this happened just last month, and they said they'll bring their second daughter for her counseling also, but they've not managed to come because both are COVID doctors and they're busy with that. Now, there's one more case where sometimes clients come to you, but they're not very comfortable coming to you. Earlier, my website had my address, and there was a guy who suddenly knocked on my door. I didn't open the door because I was busy doing something. And then he called me up. He said, I'm so-and-so, and I've come for genetic brain profiling. I said, but you've not fixed an appointment with me. He said, no, I'm outside your door. If you're busy, I'll come later. Otherwise, can I come now? I said, okay, since you've come, I'll let him in. And mind you, he came and sat down, and for the next 1 hour, he spoke about himself. He is good in this without me prompting or asking him questions. I'm good in this, I'm good in that, I do this, I do that. I work for the government, I'm writing a book. I saw your website and genetic brain profiling seems to be. I want to know more about it, then I'll take it to the government on your behalf. So I said, what do you know about it? First of all, you must take a profile yourself, do the scanning, know about yourself, only then. Because I found it very funny that he was volunteering so much of information about himself. Then he said, yes, I'll take. I said, but it will cost you money, 3,000. He said, no problem. I'll go and get it. You have an ATM nearby, I'll go get the money. So I realized that this guy is either just trying to show off or there's some deep-rooted problem he has. So by then I had developed some sympathy for him and I said, okay, I'll do your profiling. I took his fingerprints, he went to an ATM, he got me the money. And once I saw the fingerprints, immediately I connected and I said, why he's talking the way he's talking? Why is he being so defensive? Why is he all the time projecting himself? I asked him, did you have a very traumatic childhood? Just that one traumatic word triggered off an entire new range of emotions. And he started telling me how he was ill-treated as a child, how his father was so conservative that um, he made him join a Vedic Patshala, Veda Patshala, and how he had to keep to the strict rules there, and how his friends made fun of him, and all the emotions. He spent about 4 hours in my house pouring out all his emotions. And he's 45 years old, and he's living with his parents and not married. Of course, I read out his profile and I realized that he requires deeper treatment, that just one day of talking to him is not going to change him. So I read out his profile and I said, you come to me at a time when you want to change, I will help you to change. But now you're still a little uneasy about yourself. So let's get connected to each other. You really want to change, you come back to me. Because half of him said, nothing is wrong with me. The other half of him said, everything is wrong with me. So because of this confusion in his mind, no amount of counseling would have helped him. So when we counsel people, we need to keep their age and their background in mind. Like the previous slide that I showed you, excuse me, the 45-year-old, I cannot change him. If it was a 14, 15, 10-year-old, probably a few sessions can change, but not a 45-year-old. Similarly, this is the profile of a headmistress of a school, a play school. And they have many other things also. Now, if you see her profile, look at herself and her people. So low. But she's a very successful headmistress. If I did not know her background, I saw this, I would have said, you have difficulty getting along with people. But I know this lady, she's my friend, and I know she's a very successful headmistress. So now I cannot tell her about her people skill being low. So I said, when you were young, you may have had problems getting along with people. So she said, yes, I had a lot of problem getting along with my own parents. Because you see the C3X and C3X there. So knowing the background, if I didn't know her, but even then what I should have done is looked at her age, 65-year-old. So I cannot say that she cannot get along with people. There will be instances where she may have had problems, but age teaches people to know how to communicate. So keeping a person's age and background in mind is very, very important while counseling. And first, the most important thing is we need to build a rapport. You see this. This is the profile that is given below is Ishana's profile. This is the daughter's profile. Can you see the X's there with the daughter in the frontal region? Now this daughter has left her medical college. She joined in July, Manipal Medical. October, she was back home. And she came to me through a common friend. So the first day when I counseled her, I said, you must be very good in studies. Yes, yes, all that was yes, yes. I said, you must be having some problems with friends, with your parents. No, no, I'm just fine. Why did you leave your medical college? Oh, I just felt a little depressed and a little out of sorts. So I went and told the principal of the college that I want to take 1 year off and I'll come back next year. I'm feeling a little low. And he allowed me to. She was very, very casual about everything. I called her another day. Second day, she was a little more friendly because by then I had made her feel a little comfortable with me. And second day, she told me, yes, she has been having problem with friends for some time since her 10th standard. And then at the end, she told me she's already visited a psychiatrist, she's already visited psychologists. Are you going to treat me through CBT? So I said, no, nothing like that. I'm not going to treat you. I just want to know more about you. That's all. She came a third time. But this time, since I had to make some progress, now enough rapport building was done, according to me. So I must make some more progress. So I asked her, can I talk to your mother? Because by now I realized that her issues were with her mother by asking her various questions. She said, no, my mother is a very busy person. She'll not like to meet you. Can I talk to your father? No, my father's. Now, I was doing all this free of cost for my friend's sake. I was not charging her any money. So, since she came through a friend. So she said, no, my mother or father both will not meet you. They are not interested. So I let it go. And then I called up my friend and I told her the whole thing. So my friend number and asked me to contact the mother. So the mother came over and Rama Suresh is the mother's profile. When I saw the mother's profile, I came to the conclusion that the daughter is what she is because of the nurturing that the mother gave her. And mother was a tougher nut to crack than the daughter. It took me 2 hours to even convince her that I must take her profile. So that day, first session, I just took her profile and then the father and mother, both of them. And then I took their scan and they came another day for the counseling. And now the father was a totally different guy and this girl has taken after the mother. The father had more of D's. Very, what do I say, successful businessman. But mother was with C's. Very stubborn person. Look at all the C's the mother has. So then finally, it took me another 3 hours to convince the mother. Through various means, I had to talk to her to make her realize that her daughter is who she is because of who the mother is. Once I could establish a rapport with the mother, then she opened up and she told me how her parents had been very, very lax where she was concerned. They were not interested in her at all. They lived somewhere in northeastern sector and mostly she was left to fend for herself. So she said, I never wanted to be like that. I wanted to be with my daughters at every stage of their life. I said, from your point of view, you are that, but from her point of view, you're extremely controlling. How I sit, how I talk, how I dress, how I behave, everything my mother wants to control. So I said, did you realize that your daughter feels this? She said, yeah, but anyway, I'm doing it for her good only. Even then, the mother was stubborn that what she's saying is correct. Finally, after 4 hours of talking to her, she came around and told me, okay, I think what you're saying is correct. Now, what do I do? How do I change myself? I realized that complete 100% cognitive person is not going to listen to me. So I said, you have to find out for yourself how you can help yourself. So that was the end. After that, they haven't come to me. And now I will come to the last slide. I know we are exceeding time. Now, if clients ask you for some solution, like in the previous case, I told her, solution is you're a yoga teacher, you would know best, better than me. I didn't give her any solution. One thing because of her age also. Now, this client, Suprita, you can see her profile is again fantastic, very capable person. But again, C1X, C3X. And this lady came for her daughter who was in class 10. Now, for the daughter, she thought her daughter should do science, but the daughter's profile said she'll be good in humanities and arts only. Anyway, she was quite well convinced about it. And so she said, okay, I would like to do mine also. So I took her fingerprint. She came another day. And when I saw the profile, I said, how am I going to tell her about herself? But this lady was easier to talk to. She immediately owned up that she has relationship problems, except her husband. She doesn't trust anybody else. And she has a lot of problems and all that. And then, of course, she was ready to listen to a solution. So I said, if you're ready, I'm willing to help you on a long-term basis, but you should be ready for that. And to begin with, because she was excessively overweight, I said, let's bring down your weight first. So start doing yoga and things like that. And then slowly first take care of your health, and then we'll go into other things. So this is how I believe if I'm sincere in my counseling efforts, I will get more clients. At the moment, it's not a rat race. I'm not having too many clients, but the clients who I have, they get me other clients. It's like that, because I don't go out of my house looking for clients. Of course, I do have a website, but how many people go and visit a website? So how we counsel and makes a lot of difference, and it gives us a lot of satisfaction that we are really making a difference in somebody's life. We are helping them to better their lives. Because people who come seeking, like who are the people who go to astrologers or palmists? Only when they feel some lack somewhere, whether it's material lack or whether it's emotional lack or whether it's any mental lack. So we need to get to the bottom of the problem, and we need to help such people. So that is why I'm so thankful to God for having given me this tool. Any amount of thank you I say to Ratnasamy sir is not going to be enough. That I have got this tool and he's continuously training us. And from my side, now he can only take us this much forward. He can only transfer the knowledge he has given, that he can give us. But we need to intuitively develop some bit ourselves also. So with that in mind, I enrolled myself into career counseling course. So now I can counsel students who want to go abroad also. I have done that course. And now I'm doing some more self-development courses so that ultimately I can take genetic brain profiling to many more people, because it is something that is so good, and definitely it will help so many more people. I hope whatever I've said has been useful to all of you. Thank you so much for listening patiently to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bhuvana. It was a really, I think every week we are coming out with a very innovative way of presenting one's experience. And I'm sure because everybody has their own experience, no two sessions are going to be same. And everybody has their own style of, making the information communicated to others. So really wonderful slides made. And you talk like a 25, 30-year-old lecturer giving a session kind of an experience. And definitely you made the learning very easy for the newcomers as well as for the existing seniors colleagues also. So definitely very innovative ways. Just one point you had mentioned, which I must make it very clear. When your prefrontal is affective in nature, anything learning new will happen maybe little slow. Okay, so it is not that most of the 2-3 customers of yours, wherever the prefrontal is affective in nature, definitely, in spite of your moderate processing also, your ability to learn more or progress more is definitely high. And for you, the boon is the intuitive learning process percentage that is dominating. So though your concrete learning is very strong, overall your intuitive learning is very higher. That has helped you to do so many courses and then end up in being a corporate trainer, and now you are a life coach. So I think one of the very interesting experience I can share with people in the days to come is how an LKG teacher can become a life coach. Okay, so that is what your process centric helps. You don't start with a higher level of competency, but you have the interest to develop your competency, and with your self smart being very higher, with an intuitive ability to look up things and all, and being very firm in your thought process. Okay, you are very clear on what you want to do. Only thing is you take little longer time to go to the first gear, third gear and the fourth gear, but you love to keep moving all the time. So that keep moving all the time is helping you to make better progress, and then that actually makes you be a great psychologist as well. I'm sure uh, just before the session I was thinking 67 years you have almost had a 90 years of experience, because you have been 24 by 7 or 18 by 7. You have been you have been doing something, and as all of us know, the best way of learning in this planet is to teach. Teaching is the best way to learn, and that you have been doing almost last 50 years or 45 years of your life. You have been teaching at some level or the other. You have been a giver in terms of knowledge. So that is a great opportunity for you, and with your prefrontal being effective has helped you to continue to work on it. And as you said it very rightly, the environment in you are nurtured definitely has helped you, and your assertiveness, that too when you are very young, you are very assertive in your decisions and all, has helped you to to take care of your growth on your own. The good thing about the self smart people are they take commitment and they want to show to the world that they are able to do it. So self smart is always about demonstrating people that I am able to do it. My decision I have taken, I will prove it right. Maybe you take little longer time, but that assertiveness definitely helps. And I think when you got disconnected because of the power problem, I did say that your cognitive thinking will appear to be more like a execution also will be more towards cognitive only, because you are thinking, you are taking so much time. When you make a decision, that time taken for a longer duration will appear to be more like a cognitive. So for all practical purposes, your frontal lobe cognitive will make you to say 75% of the cognitive abilities would get displayed. Only 25% of your thinking process is actually the effective one. So this is the boon that you got, and you could, with the experience you got through your life, all of your life, you could, do well. Now the second question, one of the audience also has reminded me, is your parietal lobe is less and still you performed well in sports and all. Very, very useful information. The clarity that I would like to give is, please remember the three domains we know: arch pattern, the loop pattern, and the wall patterns. It only indicates the energy in your compartment, the lobes, parietal lobes, energy. Okay, I keep telling that if there is an arch pattern, if the percentages are less than 6% and 7%, that means still you will play, still you will run, but the energy to run will be not very high. So your parietal lobe is not telling what work you will do. It is just telling how much energy you have to do. But if your frontal lobe is cognitive, you are driving your body. Your body is not driving your mind. You have to see the percentage there. So the intellect, the frontal lobe, is actually driving the body, the mouth, the eyes. All the sensory system is driven by frontal. So when you play sports, you don't play every day new game. You are playing the same game again and again, repeatedly you are playing. So your frontal lobe is giving that assertiveness to succeed. The determination to succeed comes from your frontal lobe. And because your frontal lobe is stronger than the parietal lobe has nothing other than obeying the frontal lobe's performance or expectations. So that is the reason why we continue to believe that the loop patterns always very useful for learning, which is more repetitive in nature. Had there been a very high energy in your parietal lobe, that doesn't help you to perform by obeying the frontal lobe or the prefrontal lobe, then it becomes on its own the boss for deciding. That is the reason why those children with high parietal lobe, they are very active. That doesn't mean they are good in sports. See, energy in the body is very high. In your case, energy in the body is not weak. In number two, we see the auditory and then kinesthetic and visual. Comparatively, your auditory is number two. Sorry, your kinesthetic is number two. It is not number three. Had it been number three, you would have not gone into sports. Number one. Number two, because your temporal lobe is cognitive, it doesn't have enough time to take academic interest as the primary one. Just remember, your duration of academics is very challenging for you. So sports was an excuse for you subconsciously. By going to the sports, you are feeling more relaxed. But when you take your academics one and keep in the classroom, your classrooms you are not very comfortable. But in the ground, you were finding more relaxation because you were using your parietal lobe. So it was something like a auditory was getting saturated. You wanted to use your body, and that is how you went into sports. And because you are cognitive in the frontal lobe, that is the intellect, which is something routine you are doing. So sports or dance or certain activities with an affective domain, you perform much better than cognitive domain, because cognitive domain doesn't enjoy repetition. The arch patterns or the reflective patterns enjoy repetitions, but then they don't have the energy to sustain for a long time. That is why sometimes we say, even in sports, if your processing speed is fast, you go more towards athleticism because instantly you have to go ahead and perform. But if your processor is moderate, then you take up jobs where the agility is not important, the assertiveness, the competency is more important. See, certain games want instantaneous responses to act on. Okay, for example, in a 100 meters dash, you need to be, the minute you hear the sound, you need to just push. Even at two seconds of delay will make it difficult. For your kind of personalities, a long marathon or a relay race kind of thing will definitely be a better choice, because there the speed at which you are making your body move is not important. The ability to sustain the long running ability is what is very important. So that is the reason why you definitely did perform well. In fact, if I were to counsel your report, I would definitely say you will do very well in your sports, because it is coming number 2 in the sensory system. Okay, that's how it has to be seen. And Leela says she also had a similar experience. So yes, if your parietal lobe is effective, you will do very well in body-related actions. If your parietal lobe is arch or very low energy, then you will run only if the dog is chasing. Otherwise, you will not run. If cognitive, you will ensure the dog is not chasing you, because you will use your cognitive skills to handle the dog in a different way. So it depends on the personality also. But then to sum it up, definitely number 2 is in the sensory. Number 2 is your parietal lobe, and you chose sports just to get little break from the classroom boring. And I have seen one girl who went in to become a kabaddi player because her temporal lobe was very, very cognitive in nature. So cognitive temporal lobe children prefer either a visual medium to express their relaxation, or they prefer a kinesthetic activity to to supplement or to take care of their destiny. So Leela says, mine too, busy aging, not gracefully but with full of verve and vigor. Yeah, that's something you can do. very well. So I would like to thank on everybody's behalf. You being a psychologist, the right kind of a profession for you to spend the rest of your life. I'm sure a lot of families are going to get enlightened. As you rightly said, because your process is moderate, you may not do 50, 100 scans in a month. Even if you do 10 scans, you will do with so much of commitment and responsibility and a systematic approach. First time I am hearing somebody calling the customer 3 times and 4 times for counseling. That is the kind of dedication you have, and all that comes because you are a highly process oriented person. So with your cognitive frontal lobe and the temporal lobe, which is very relevant for studying psychology, and with your exposure, with your serving mindset, I think you will definitely enjoy your helping out people in the days to come. I'm so happy that I have one of these senior most in terms of chronologically. Your experience is very, very tremendous and a very exhaustive experience. And I was just thinking, you are the great grand, not MA, it is MiDNA associate. Okay, so I'm very happy to call you as great grand, not mother, MiDNA associate. Okay, you have so much of experience with you. I'm sure one day you will just sit in your chair and will probably be able to guide people. I am going to take you as a what people call it as an advisor kind of a role, wherein wherever I lose patience, I will give your phone number and let you speak with you, because your ability to communicate with people quite very strong, I must admit. And this moderate processor is definitely helping you to handle it well. And your self smart is telling I must keep on improving. So self smart with an auditory enjoys talking and helping people to improve their lives. We all together pray God that you live so long, that you are given an extension forever. I want you to live in this planet. And you being a yoga person by yourself, you are a practitioner, very regular practitioner. You have a very clean habit of certain aspects of life. I think you are blessed to be in this planet for quite long. We wish you all the best and a healthy journey ahead. And do continue to share your wisdom as you do in all the WhatsApp groups. I'm so so happy to see you. You might respond after 5 days, but you take pain to honestly, very sincerely reply to it, without even bothering whether people are going to read this or not. That's something I love all the time with you. Okay, the commitment that I must answer to somebody's opinion, somebody has shared a video, somebody's testimonial. I think you and Leila do that great job of respecting everybody's work, and keep appreciating them. And even when you are not very comfortable with it, you even the small mild criticism you do, but that is something which I find the great in you, the teacher in you, the right kind of a teacher you are. And this is going to be an world record, that somebody started teaching a kindergarten child, became a life coach, and they handled individuals of different age, and they did equally great job in serving them and in helping them. Thank you once again, Leela. I all the time keep Leela and Bhuvana are Solamangalam sisters for me. So I often get mixed up. That's the fun part of it. So thank you all for having joined this session. See you next week with another great sharing of the life self discovery. And I wish the elders continue to attend sessions and keep motivating the newcomers by giving them guidance, and then so that more competent life coaches or mentors in MiDNA. Great is our reach, and we can give our best for the betterment of the society. Thank you all. Let us see next week in another session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.